What's up YouTube? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky and today's video is all about new car prices. Now we did a video the other day about used car prices and it got a huge response. I got tons of emails, DMs, comments and everything else, and a lot of people asking me about what's going on in the new car market. So I'm going to go over everything that I know as far as what's going on, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and shocked at the same time. So make sure you stay tuned to the whole way to the video because we're going to talk about how the market's actually going to go up a little bit and then slowly take a dive after that. But before I do, if you could do me one huge favor and gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm, it helps me find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, if you consider subscribing, I post great stuff like this all the time. We are posting 3 times a week, so make sure you click the notification bell so you're notified when we post a new video. Also, if you consider subscribing to us on Instagram at automotive.life, I truly appreciate it. And without any more shameless plugging, let's get into the video. Now, before we get into the story, I want to make sure I give you guys a little bit of a background on why we are in this current predicament and why car prices are so overpriced and ridiculous right now. So as you guys know, like during the pandemic, a lot of people got stimulus money, a lot of people got PPE money, and loans have been at their historic lowest interest rates ever in history. So it incentivized a lot of people that normally weren't thinking about buying cars to go out and buy cars. So during the beginning of the pandemic, you know, a lot of my friends at the dealerships were scared because they didn't know what was happening. They're like, oh my God, are we gonna be stuck with these cars? So I had friends selling cars for $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 under MSRP to get rid of them because they actually thought they were gonna be stuck with them. So anyways, fast forward, you know, halfway through the pandemic, they sold all their cars and they had nothing left. You know, a Ford dealership here in town, I won't mention their name, they had like 3, I think, fully loaded F-150s left, and somebody called from another state and offered them $5,000 over MSRP, and they couldn't figure out why. They're like, well, it's the pandemic, there's nothing going on. And then they found out that they had nothing there in other states, so they started doing the research and they realized that there's nothing. So guess what's the first thing the dealer does? Every truck, $10,000 over MSRP, and they kept that thing going. And once all the dealers saw that, everybody raised their prices across the board. And so every time a new truck would come in, a person would come in, I got great credit, I have an 800 credit score, I want to buy this truck for $5,000 or $10,000 under MSRP. They'll look at you straight in the face and say, nope, go somewhere else because we're not going to do it because we have no supply. Ford is no longer giving us trucks. We have no access to get more trucks because a lot of places the auctions were shut down, manufacturing plants were shut down, so they weren't able to get these vehicles. So dealers slowly raised their prices higher and higher, and unfortunately, simple supply and demand. Free market, it's an amazing thing, and it's also a big pain in the ass because then you get stuff like this happening. Now, the reason why a lot of this stuff happened is because during the pandemic, a lot of the companies that are manufacturing stuff in the Midwest and overseas were all shut down. And so a lot of the airbags, computer chips, modules, and things that we needed to finish the vehicles were actually either held up at customs or just stuck at a factory not being built. So as we started to reopen up, a lot of these other states and a lot of these other countries we haven't really fully opened up to yet. So there's a few manufacturing plants I know in the Midwest that are just getting open remanufacturing airbags again. So now you have, you know, 6 months, 8 months of backlogs to actually get to get the supply and demand. So I talked to one of my friends in Detroit. He is an automotive specialist that does high-end and electrical automotive repair. He's actually being hired by Ford right now because they just received their last shipment in of computer chips, modules, and everything else. So they have over 25,000 F-150s sitting in a lot all around Detroit. And their job is they're going to actually go to these places and put the chips in the cars, make sure they're good, tow them back to the factory. They'll go through their safety inspections once more, and then they'll be pushed back out into the market. So you have 25,000 F-150s getting ready to hit the market. Now, Ford knows this, the dealers know this, most of the insiders know this, but why aren't prices going down? Same thing. Dealers, their whole job is to hype the product. We want to make it look like this is the only, you know, this is the only truck in existence, and we want you to pay all the dollars. The only way I'm going to lower the price of my car, which is Dealer 101, is if everybody else has one cheaper than mine. And guess what's going to happen? Right now, prices are extremely high, and they're actually going to go up a little bit higher soon. But once the supply starts catching up to demand, it's slowly going to start tinkering off. Because like I said, PPE money's gone, stimulus money's gone. You know, a lot of people that thought they were going to go back to work are probably not going to go back to work. I honestly believe jobs are actually going to start dying here very soon. So we're going to have that slow demand tick off, and then you're going to watch these prices just start to drop, especially for new cars, because nobody wants to pay 10, 15K over retail. And we're going to get into some of those cars right now. So if we go to a dealership right now and we try to buy a Ford F-150, I've called every single dealership here in Ford, and I called a few in LA and a few in Utah, and the average retail sticker price I saw for an F-150 was, you know, over $8,000. So whatever the MSRP was, that's what they wanted over the car to actually get it. So I offered, hey, I got cash, I got a cashier's check, I have 800 credit score, I'm a veteran, I'm a local, whatever. I was just throwing everything in the book just to see if I can actually get a deal. Every single one of them told me to go pound sand. They're not giving me $1 off. They don't care. They got a bunch of people in line waiting for these cars. So I was like, okay, well, that's an F-150. That's a really popular car. So I started going down the thing, and I was like, well, let me call Kia. Because I know my sister-in-law wanted to get a Telluride. And so I figured, you know what, let me see if I can get a deal on a Kia. So I called Kia, and I'm like, hey, I want a nice two-wheel drive Telluride. Nothing fancy, nothing amazing, just something basic. I called every Kia dealership here in Las Vegas. $10,000 over MSRP is what they want for a Telluride. And not even the fully loaded one, just a two-wheel drive base unit. It's insane. It's a Kia. Nothing amazing. I was shocked. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is a big SUV. It's something else. So then I worked my way back to Mazda. I called Mazda and I was like, look, I want a mid-size SUV, a Mazda CX-5. Good car, good economy, good for Turo, you know, and I figured this would be a great car to be kind of a middle price. So they got to give it to me under MSRP, right? So I called them and I was like, hey, you know, can I get a deal on this car? I have a cashier's check. I'm ready to go. I'll pay not $1 over sticker. They literally told me to go pound sand. They're like, we have hardly any units in stock. We're not anticipating getting another shipment for 6 months. You're going to have to pay what we want to pay, or we're not going to give it to you. You got no choice. It's simple supply and demand. So until these knuckleheads get a shipment of cars in, we're pretty much SO with overpaying. So one of the things that we're preaching, if you're buying these cars for either selling for a dealership, or if you're selling, or if you're renting these things out and doing Turo, you need to add 10% principal pay down every month in addition to your normal principal pay down to overcompensate for this loss, because I guarantee you by October, once the flow starts catching up, and then in November, when the supply is starting to get there and demand is dwindling, you're gonna watch, like I said, it's gonna spike a little bit and it's gonna drop. So, you know, I was like, okay, well, these are just some basic cars. Let me call in some maybe nicer cars or different cars or exotic cars. So I called a friend of mine that works at a local Chevy dealership here in town. And I was like, hey, bro, I'm actually thinking of getting the new Chevy Corvette. Told him, you know, I was a YouTuber, I got a big Instagram following, I got a cashier's check, everything else. He flat out said the exact same thing. He goes, dude, he goes, our general manager will not let a Corvette go. We have people willing to pay 10, 15K over sticker. They won't take $1 under $20,000 over MSRP. It's the most craziest thing I've ever seen. And another one that's up in Centennial Hills here in Vegas has a, I think it's like an LT3 model, fully loaded. It's $40,000 over MSRP. That is insane. But they can do it because there's no choice. Like if you try to find a C8 under $100,000, it's very hard, and if you do, it's a very base model, there's not a lot there, and then once you call them, that guarantee you, they always put the lowest price, and then they're gonna add another $5,000, $6,000 once you get there for the paperwork. They all do that, you know, oh, destination fee, delivery fee, dealer fee, fee, you know, they just basically rip you off. So please be careful with that when you go to there. So, but it's not all doom and gloom, guys. I actually did get some really, really good news on one new car. So I was trying to think of something that, you know, was exotic cars, regular cars. I called Audi, you know, Audi R8's actually one of my favorite cars, car that I'm actually looking for. They're willing to give it to me for MSRP. So that was the only one out of all the cars that I've called that was willing to give me an MSRP and give me a great interest rate and give me some of the rebates that they're still offering. And I was like, wow, I was shocked. I was like, that's really cool. So, I talked to them a little bit more, asked about the supply and demand, and what happened is a lot of the R8s were built, but they weren't shipped over. And so when they finally shipped them over, every dealer had pretty much their supply from last year and this year all shipped in at once. So now they have, 5 of them sitting on the showroom floor. And when you're talking about a vehicle that's $160,000 all the way up to their, nicest models, which are like $250,000, the demand for those vehicles is not very high. So I can get a great deal on an Audi R8 if I want to get one right now, which I'm thinking about it, but we'll see. The next car, the only car out of all the cars that I actually got for lower than MSRP, I have a friend of mine that works at a local Acura dealership here. And I asked him, I was like, hey, Acura is kind of a hidden gem. They're great cars, but they don't have like a cult-like following like Lexus, Mercedes, Audi, Cadillac, when it comes to luxury vehicles. So they're always under the radar. You can usually get really good deals from Acura. So when I called him and I was like, hey, what can I get for, under MSRP, or what's something I can share with my followers to actually maybe get a deal or get a bargain? And he said right now that every SUV, they won't budge a single dollar. Their midsize and luxury SUVs are going for all the money. He goes, so don't even ask, they won't take a dollar off. He goes, but the sedans are decent priced. So we were going over some of the sedans and stuff like that, and then he told me that he has a banana yellow Acura NSX on his lot. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I was like, well, tell me more about that. He's like, okay, well, the sticker price is $158,000. It's brand new, 500 and I think like 81 horsepower. It's an electric hybrid. They're beautiful cars. I'll put a picture up, one over here. And it's comparable to the Audi R8. And he was like, you know what, you should come and buy it. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to spend $150K. If I'm going to spend $150K, I'm going to go buy an Audi R8 because the V10 sound is amazing. And he's like, no. He goes, they're willing to drop it $10,000 below MSRP to get rid of it. And I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, no. He goes, this thing has been here since the pandemic. So an Acura NSX is a beautiful car. Like I said, it is an electric hybrid vehicle that has, great horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. Amazing looking car, but people don't know about it, so therefore it goes for cheaper. So I was really shocked. I'm like, wow, this is the only car that is willing to be sold to me under 10K under MSRP, and on top of that, it's an exotic sports car. So it blew my mind. So after basically taking all this information from all my friends and all the dealers that I've actually called, looking up at Car Gurus, Auto Trader, Auto Tempest, everybody else, and then looking at auction prices, it doesn't seem like new car prices are going down anytime soon. But like I said, as that supply starts to fill up, which we're going to see, like I said, Ford is releasing 25,000 vehicles next week. I think the first shipment, my friend said they already finished, which was like 388 cars. So as soon as they're done, they get inspected, they get shipped out this week. So every week they're going to try to do at least 300 to 400 cars to get the dealers the inventory they need. And as this starts to build up, the dealers are going to start getting their more stockpiled inventory. The prices and demand is starting to go down just a little bit. So like I said, I don't anticipate prices dropping right now. I believe they're going to spike all the way up till probably the end of September, and then right around October they're going to kind of flatline, and then November they're going to start going down. I always tell people traditionally the best time to buy a car is Christmas because they got the next year's coming out, plus they're very incentivized to give out rates for some of the new used cars that they got going on. So that's the best time. Plus, as a dealer myself, I know that I want to get rid of my inventory during Christmas because there's nothing going on then. But don't buy after January because tax season's coming and every dealer will hold their cars and prices will raise up another 10 to 15%. So definitely go shopping if you're looking for a new car right around that October and December timeline. And I promise you'll save massive dollars. You'll take your time, get the right thing. And I hate to say it, right now you're going to have to shop out of state because some of the Corvettes that we looked at, the best deals were like in Texas, Florida, the Midwest, like everywhere outside of major markets. If you try to get something like in LA, maybe Dallas, Miami, something like that, you ain't getting no deals. You got to go to these small towns where there's not a lot of people there. If you want to buy exotic sports cars, go look where it snows all the time because most of those cars are sitting in the garage not doing anything. So most likely you'll get a deal. But like I said, be patient. Prices are going to come down and just do your research because right now dealers will not drop their prices until the demand pretty much dies. So if they're very firm on their price, say no problem, walk away. Keep doing your research, keep looking, and I promise you'll find a deal. So if you felt like you've learned anything, please smash the like button. I truly appreciate it. Also, if you consider subscribing, click the notification bell, I'd also appreciate that as well. Also, if you can follow us on Instagram, automotive.live, I would love to see you guys on there. I post way more crazier stuff on there than I do here, and I post there every single day. And I want to thank you guys so much. We had great views. This is the highest amount of views I've gotten in a week before. I think we're a little over with all of our videos on our channel, like 150,000 views in 1 week, which is awesome. So thank you guys so much. We're growing really fast. Also, if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, put them in the comment section below. I personally answer every single one. If you want to set up a one-on-one consultation call, email me at lucky@automotive.life. And if you want to learn anything about automotive-wise, if you want to take our classes on how to open a rental car company, open up a car dealership, start an auto repair, do body shop, make sure you go visit our website at automotive.life, and we'll see you guys next time.